So I really wanted to make a separate video out of the point of what my parents were doing at this time and like of what I was doing and everything, because at the end of the court proceedings, they came to the verdict that no, my father did not sexually abuse me, but he was guilty of neglect for allowing me to go through this emotional trauma, abuse, pressure, whatever you want to call it, for allowing me to go through it. And I really think that, well, that was a really unfair verdict. It was incorrect. That there were many, many points, there were many sides to it, and really they were doing everything that they could in their power. I mean, at the beginning, my dad took me to a psychologist. My parents said that, if I ever want to go to the psychologist, to tell them, the psychologist told them that, not to force me to go to him, but that if I wanted to tell me that I could always ask and say that I wanted to. And so that option was always there, and they actually tried to move, but we couldn't really, move anywhere. It was either not allowed or we just couldn't afford it. It was just way too difficult to move anywhere. And everything that they tried to do something, but really there was nothing that they could do. And from my side of it, I didn't tell them when things were going on because, first off, I could see all of the stress that they were under, how bad of a toll it was taking, especially in the last year. And it was just, I didn't want to add to that because I didn't want to be another thing that they had to worry about, another stress, another issue. I wanted it to let them deal with all the other things that they had to deal with, all the other stress. And that was somewhat a mistake on my part, but then again, what else was there to do? Because it was not like they could do anything other than maybe send me to go live with another family member and be away from them, which, I would not want. And so, I couldn't tell them really the majority of what was going on, and they couldn't do anything. And as time went on, when things really started to get worse, especially in that last year, my father had a heart attack. And it was a stress-induced heart attack, and so we had to do everything we could to try and keep stress off of him. And so as things were getting worse for me, my father was having a heart attack and having to go through different operations, have medicine now that he had to take, and try and be kinder to his body emotionally and physically, to try and relieve some of his own stress somehow. And it was like, well, I couldn't tell them and put more stress on them, and so I kept keeping it inside. And since I was always being told everywhere from everyone that, well, he did it, tell us that you think he did it, and they were telling me these horrible horror stories and everything, and I didn't really have anywhere else to go because I couldn't tell them. And so I ended up going to the school counselor when I emotionally broke down, because I just had always known, well, you can go to a psychologist, someone like that. And to me at that time, I did not know the difference between a psychologist and a school counselor, and I did not know that, well, they're not really at the same level. And so when I started emotionally breaking down, that's just where I automatically went. And then everything blew up even more, and through all of the events, I ended up being taken to a foster home for a little while. And there was nothing that my parents could have done. There was nothing that I could have done. There was nothing that anybody could have done to really stop what was going to happen, to calm things down. And so I just really wanted to push that point and make a video to really stress that.